What's good, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Web Quips. This one is going to focus primarily on the new Age of Apocalypse that's coming to Marvel Strike Force. We're also going to talk about the grind that the game already has, as well as what's coming in the future. Um, Here on the Marvel Strike Force website, they've got a new tab dedicated solely to Apocalypse. Here you see him and the four Horsemen. Um, I'm not gonna read this stuff here to you, but the Scourge Events, and this will play into the daily grind portion of our topic today. Scourge Events is a new game mode arriving to Marvel Strike Force and will be the only way to unlock character shards for each of the four Horsemen. Um, you know, you'll be able to adjust difficulty, but the Scourge Events look like they're going to be kind of like a dark dimension style mode, or like a pocket dimension even. Um, the the key difference, you'll get your rewards at the end of the run, but then there's also going to be like higher rewards or more rewards for the higher you rank. There's going to be a leaderboard attached to this, modifiers where you can, you know, go in and adjust the difficulty for more points. But yeah, it says in order to unlock these legendary horsemen, so they're calling them legendary here. So I don't know if these will take place of the normal legendary characters that they typically do throughout the year, or if these will be in addition to. But you know, it's players will embark on a challenge to clear 10 sequential connected nodes called a run, similar to Dark Dimension, but with some unique twists. Um, I mean, you see here that this is difficulty 5, and the power levels on these enemies. Now, it does say that this is subject to change, this image, and nothing's final, but just the power levels on these enemies, and that looks to be the first node. You know, I don't know if this mode is going to have its own special heals, like similar to Dark Dimension, or if you're going to need to use cores, or if they're going to introduce something all new altogether. But anyways, it says players can customize their challenges by selecting a difficulty from 1 to 10. Lower difficulty, will let you use a broader range of characters. The higher difficulties will narrow the character traits. For the first Scourge event, players engaging in the highest difficulties will need Web Warriors and or Dark Hunters. Um, One of those does not bother me. I went hard on Web Warriors. Um, Dark Hunters is a team that I will not be purchasing. I made the decision at the beginning of the year to cut back on what I purchase within this game. Last year, I took a month off from spending altogether. And then that was the month, funny enough, that the Infinity Watch came out. Phyla-Vell, Moondragon, I did not purchase them. But I took a month off, and then the big things I've been purchasing since then have been just usually one or two of the character packs when they first release. The Web Warriors, I did go harder on. I got the character packs. I got some orbs for them. But the Dark Hunters is a team, I'm not planning on purchasing. I have not purchased either of the Young Avengers that have just come out. So it says we're going to get full details on all 10 node requirements, including the name and kit of the first Horseman in the coming weeks. So now it talks about, you can add a variety of effects that will increase the points that you are able to earn. It says Scourge Events will be active for 10 days on their initial introduction, then 5 days for each subsequent time it repeats. And the time Scourge Events are active, players can make unlimited attempts to try to achieve the best single run with the highest difficulty level and greatest point value. Scourge is active, thus earning the most points. Those points will unlock milestone rewards. Okay, that's not bad. Milestones, typically, fairly easy to obtain for each game mode, and be tied to leaderboard rewards, both of which will grant shards for the new legendary Horsemen. The leaderboard rewards is something that is going to favor your higher end players, the people that spend the most. So keep that in mind. If you are someone that doesn't have that doesn't go hard into their teams and whatnot, you're not going to be able to do many of these extra little modifiers, so your points aren't going to be as high. It says at any point in your run, you have the option of starting over. Resetting the run will clear the progress made on the nodes and set your characters to full health. Players' teams will heal after completing or resetting a run, so you don't need to wait 24 hours like in Dark Dimension. So it's already said that a run will be all 10 nodes. So how you heal in between each of the nodes, not sure. So yeah, we've got the Scourge events for each legendary 4 Horsemen will be released individually and gradually over the course of 2022. Those 4 events will lead up to a series of challenges different than the Scourge events, featuring Apocalypse, which will require that you unlock all of the Horsemen, as well as some additional requirements to add him to your roster. So, to me, I used to play Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes years ago. I quit shortly after they introduced, what was it, the Galactic Heroes or Galactic Legends or whatever they called them. But that was, you needed, it was a ton of requirements. It just, to me, it went heavily into basically who spent the most, not who played the most, but who spent the most. So to me, this is probably going in that direction. So we'll see what that entails. Be curious to see what these additional requirements will look like. But that's pretty much it for the Age of Apocalypse deal. We're not going to go over the rest of the blog. What we will talk about now is just the amount of time that this game takes now. Used to be I could log into the game, 3 times a day, just when we basically got the energy refreshes, and be able to do everything I needed to do within 15, 20 minutes, sometimes less than that each time I jumped on, whether it was knocking out a few raid nodes or doing a run of blitz if it was a character I cared about or something like that. But they're introducing new modes. Tower mode I talked a bit about last week. Tower mode is something now that, in order to play it effectively, you have to dedicate a lot of time to it. There's people in my alliance and on some of the Reddit posts I've seen talking about just the grind in the game is wearing them down. Talking about it's not fun anymore. It's the same thing over and over. I completely understand that. Let's scroll down here to where it does talk about Tower. So, where's that at here? Okay, so Avengers Tower improvements. Um, you know, it's gonna none of these improvements will reduce the amount of screen time required for it. So that's a little unfortunate. Um, the time that it takes daily to basically participate in this game now has just jumped up drastically. When they introduced the Blitz Sim, that was great because it helped reduce the time. Um, there's been rumors and leaks of a way to sim raid nodes in the past. None of those updates have made it into the game, but to me, they need to. The best way that they could do that is you yourself, if you finish a raid node, I don't know, maybe like a set number of times, um, where say, I don't know, 5 times with all of your characters still alive, that should allow you to unlock that node for simming. If not, I mean, even 10 times I'd be okay with that. But just think of it like 3-starring a campaign node. Once you do that, you only have to do that once, but then you're able to sim that node. Or the challenges are the same way. But they need to do some form of that for the raid nodes, just to help cut down on the time it takes. Some of the nodes currently, um, our alliance currently runs Doom 2.1. The mutant nodes, especially, there's a couple where you come close to timing out, if not timing out altogether. For people that have a team big enough that can, you know, finish the node within the time acquitted or allowed to you, you ought to be able to sim that, you know? Just cut down on some of the time it takes in to play this game. The Right now, the most time I put in on a daily basis is within the Doom raid. So the mutant, the tech nodes, some of them can drag on. Um, Web Warriors and the Web Warriors make the bio section easy. I know some people still use symbiotes. If I hadn't gone as hard on the Web Warriors as what I did, I would still be using the symbiotes myself. Um, but like with the symbiotes, you can still clear those nodes within the time if you play it right. Um, they need to try to find a way. Uh, Whatever version of it they had that was in the data mines or whatever. I don't know if they just decided against it or what the deal was, but they needed to finally let the players sim the raid nodes. That would reduce the grind so much that I think it would help people feel better about how much time they spend in the game. You know, two of the captains in our alliance, both in the last week, have talked about possibly wanting to step away from the game for a bit, just because of the grind that is within the game. I know last year at a point I wanted to quit for other reasons. Um, I've seen where leaders of alliances have quit, and I just think that in order to keep the player base happy, they need to start introducing not just new game modes, like they've got the Cosmic Crucible, as they're calling it, the Grand Arena, um, or Grand Tournament as it once was. That's supposed to be coming, I think, next patch. That's going to be more time you have to dedicate to the game. I think when they introduce that, they need to introduce a way for players to be able to sim a raid node. Or, if you have the energy and you've beaten the node a set number of times, let us just basically skip it altogether. Just let us sim it, take the energy from us, give us the node rewards or whatever. I think that would go a long ways to just helping players not feel like they're grinding every single day. Um, it doesn't have to be the boss nodes per se. Just if it's a regular node, let us sim it. Boss nodes, sure, leave them to where we still have to, do it manually or whatever. But we just need something that helps reduce the stress of the time that is required to play this game. Uh, to me, that would go a long ways in ensuring that this game has not just a short-term future like the rest of this year, but a long-term future as the years go on if they want to keep doing it. I know McMole, he did an interview with David Brevik, the creator of Diablo, like a week or so ago, and he was talking about, to him it seemed like Marvel Strike Force was in maintenance mode, where yeah, they're putting out new content, but it's all on the same framework that has existed since the beginning. Um, to me, I think that makes a lot of sense. That's why Avengers Tower is located in the Blitz portion of the game. Um, just that they're adding stuff, but it's nothing that is really new. Like the pocket dimensions, we've only had one so far, but it was a reskin of the first Dark Dimension, basically. A few minor differences here or there, but for the most part, it was all the same. Um, but just they keep putting stuff into the game that takes more and more time. I mean, the real-time arena, when that was first introduced, that added a tremendous amount of time to the game. I know I hated that from the very beginning. Um, when it first come in, it was brought in as what the balanced PvP or whatever, where you had to draft your team. Um, the drafting process for that is just it takes too much time. You can be sitting there for minutes before you ever actually play the game. So hopefully, they'll find ways to reduce the time spent in the game, but I'm sure they look at it as the more that players spend inside of the game on a daily basis, the more likely they are to purchase an offer or something like that. I'm to the point now where I'm pretty much done spending, um, unless it's like little small things. Um, the characters, when they come out, if I have little to no interest in the character, like I do for Dark Hunters or the Young Avengers, I'm not going to purchase them. Um, Kate Bishop has a blitz going on right now. I'm barely participating in that. Once I did all the milestones for the blitz, I looked at where I was at in terms of character shards, and I opened 2 orbs of hers, the character orbs, where you get anywhere from 6 up to 180 shards. Um, I opened 2 orbs just to get enough shards to unlock her. So I've got her unlocked, but I'm not going hard because she's a ward defense character. I have no interest in that. I don't see where she would be valuable inside of the Doom raid in the tech section. That is a whole other thing where they're introducing more and more war teams, but the tech section of the raid is a slog. So hopefully we get a tech team soon, depending on what that looks like, whether it's a brand new team altogether or reworks to characters already within the game, plus maybe like 1 or 2 new characters. I might buy 1 or 2 of them, but honestly, I found myself now just trying to spend as little time in the game as possible on a daily basis. I know others feel the same way. I still do whatever I have to for, our alliance goals and whatnot. But in terms of the way I used to play compared to the way I've played in the last month, yeah, I just the grind is real. Um, so if you're out there and you feel the grind is starting to get to you, just maybe take a step back a little bit. Don't spend so much time worrying about blitz or worrying about arena or whatever. Do what you feel like you want to do and take time for yourself. Just set the phone, the mouse, the tablet, whatever you got down, and just do your thing. But and hopefully they do something in the near future. Um, this whole apocalypse thing, yes, I'm excited for apocalypse. I'm excited to see who the four horsemen are. But just the way that they're introducing them with these Scourge events, I am not excited about that. Um, it, this right here is going to be more time that I am going to have to spend. Um, hopefully, they don't double up on events where we have a Scourge event going on the same time as Tower or a Pocket Dimension or whatever. Like, hopefully they can start spreading stuff out a little bit. Um, I just, with them introducing this and the Cosmic Crucible or whatever, I just worry that events are going to start overlapping more. And that's just going to put more stress on people that are already, feeling that grind. So, all right, that's going to do it for this episode of Whip Quips. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check back next week for another episode.